Good day and thank you for joining me for another 5-minute video. Today we will be talking about the book of Numbers. I have my Bible here with me and it's the New King James. We may not necessarily read any verses, but I'll give some references. Now remember that this is one straight line since we began from the book of Genesis. Genesis 3:15 after the sin. And then God promised the seed to come through woman. And we go all the way, we focus on Abraham, to whom God made a promise as well that he will bless all nations through him, and he will give him children as numberless, as many as the stars, as many as the sand of this on the beach. So now we've come to the book of Numbers. Remember that God had also said they would be in Egypt, and then they will also be delivered. He had promised a land which he would give to the children of Abraham. So we are seeing all of this unfold. We've been with the children of Israel coming out of Egypt. So in the book of Numbers, we left them in Exodus by Mount Sinai. And in Numbers, they leave the Mount Sinai, and at the end of the book, they are just before they enter into the land of Canaan. It would be good to look at this on a map, but you would have the Jordan River, and they were on the east side of the river. So Moses was not allowed to enter the land. He was not going to be able to enter the land because it actually happens in the book of Numbers. I will not spend too much time because we don't have much time. So the book of Numbers is named because of the major events that take place in it. And by this we are referring to in chapter 1, the first 3 verses. This is a command from God. And also in chapter 26, the first 2 verses. God commands a census or a numbering of the men who are 20 years old and upwards who are able to go to war. So this is why the book is called Numbers. It in fact gives a number of those people. But as we go through the book, it is more than that. There is a lot more in the book than that. In fact, some more laws are given. And we also see, as the book is also known, the murmurings of the Israelites, the children of Israel. So there's a lot of murmuring in the book, and this results in God telling that generation that came out of Egypt that you people shall not see this land that I have promised. I will instead show it to your children, because of all the murmuring that they were doing. So in chapter 26, the numbering that takes place there is of the new generation. This is the old generation. Remember, they were in the wilderness for about 40 years. The Israelites were in the wilderness for about 40 years. And then when they are numbered in chapter 26, this is the new generation. So all of the old people have died, and these are now their children. And again, the numbering is 20 years old and upwards. These people had grown up now. They may have been children when the first numbering was done. So now they're older, wiser. They have learned from what they've seen. So now there's a new numbering of them, and they are the ones who will enter the land. If you remember, the murmuring was because some spies were sent into the land, and then the spies came, and then 10 of them said, nope, we cannot do this thing. And then God said, well, since you guys are rebelling, you're not going to trust in me, you shall not see the land. And basically that's how that old generation ended up not being able to enter into the land. I'm trying to find that chapter for you. But that's basically a good summary of the book of Numbers. Just remember those 2 numberings, chapter 1, chapter 26. In fact, the end of chapter 26 tells that the old generation, God has said that they will not enter it, very much lays that out. in the last few verses of that chapter, the very last one. So, in summary, Numbers, you find a numbering of the people. And if you want to put in perspective, a numbering of the old generation and a numbering of the new generation. The old generation that murmured, and the new generation that was to receive the promise of the land, because the old ones were not worthy. It is something to think about, though. As we grow up, our parents have things that they've had to deal with. We do not necessarily have to go down the same path. We can learn from that and think of better things, think of better ways, do things much better. But I'm not saying we should go against our parents, but we can take a different direction. So, just in quick summary, the book of Numbers, you have the two major numberings of the old generation and the new generation. And the new generation, they were the ones who were about to enter into the land of Canaan. And that's a lot of chapters we've covered in just a few minutes. I hope this definitely helps you to dig into that book. It's a very good one to read. It's also where you find Moses sinning and not being able to enter into the land. There is just so much, but I will just stop there and enjoy your Bible studies.